Okay, so let's get one thing straight here. The Varjo XR-4 is for the highest end XR experiences and for training. And in this video, I'm going to put it through its paces in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Since I've now had this headset for over 1 year, this is the highest resolution and most expensive XR headset on the market. But what is it like at 55 pixels per degree using a 5090? Is it really the best VR experience you can get? Well, let's give it a go in the highest fidelity general aviation aircraft, the Starship by Black Square. And during this little video, I'm going to give you some through-the-lens footage of what it looks like in the Varjo XR-4 and just give you my updated thoughts and opinions on where this probably sits and if it's actually the headset for you, if you've got deep pockets that is, for your flight simulation hobby. Now, as I've mentioned, I've been using this headset for well over 1 year. So what is it like? Well, I'm glad to say there has been some major updates to this headset, which means that the inside out tracking works really well now. And also the 20 megapixel cameras, which give you a very high resolution pass through, has also been updated. So this is what I can do now. I can look at my phone, no problems at all, as you can see here from this footage, checking my Discord out whilst flying. So this is the Black Square Starship, and actually, in my opinion, this is so far the absolute best, the pinnacle of what is possible right now in MSFS 2024. And it seems rather apt that I'm using the pinnacle of what XR can do at this point in time. And here I am taking off in Spain, heading for France, and we're not using DLSS 4 here, we are in TAA mode using dynamic foveated rendering. And I have noticed, going back to the Crystal Super, that the eye tracking in the Varjo XR-4 is just so much more reliably accurate, especially when you can see the box if you really make it very small. Using my recent hack, which I've got a link in the description below, you get a great deal of performance back, and it's not so jittery as it is in the Crystal Super. Just something that I've noticed. And it's worth mentioning before we go any further, this video is just a showcase of where VR is going at the super high end. I'm not trying to sell you an XR-4, okay? And in terms of what Varjo are saying about this headset and its purpose, it's really meant for commercial applications. For example, the XR-4 is used for, of course, pilot training for the military, very important right now in fact, but also for astronaut training, which is just crazy, as well as automotive industries when making cars, medical applications. In essence, this is not meant to be a headset to rival that of a media entertainment product like the Quest 3. It's really about, and to paraphrase Varjo's own words, trying to replicate the real world processes at the highest fidelity. So it is trying to basically bring you into the real world as much as possible. And actually, for our hobby, that couldn't be any more important. But how does it feel? Is it really that good? Of course, this is a absolute top-end, incredible VR headset, but believe it or not, it is not perfect, and I'll get into that very soon. Anyway, here we are at cruise in the Starship, and I really am taxing my system here, even with a 5090. Thank goodness for dynamic foveated rendering, that's all I'm going to say. And to be fair, we are getting a locked 45 frames per second. What a view out of that fantastic cockpit. Wow. And I just love looking at that canard there. It has a sort of Concorde-esque feeling about it, this plane, and it really does get under your skin. Let's see a bit more through the lens footage now, and of course when I show you this, it's obviously going to look far better in the headset itself. I'm just using my regular phone. But you will notice, hopefully, that the colours with the mini LED display are fantastic. There is, however, some Mura in the display, and mine has some tiger stripes as well, something that is unfortunately a bit of a problem with this particular panel. It's also worth noting that the Crystal Super has the same panel as this, and yet it is a lot cheaper, and for most of you out there it is the better choice without a doubt. But it must be said that the Varjo XR-4, in terms of its build quality, software support and incredibly high resolution mixed reality pass-through, is in a league all on its own here. And that's coming from someone who has all of the PC VR headsets. You know this if you've watched the channel for a long time. But if you're new here, thanks for watching, and please do feel free to subscribe, because on this channel we cover everything from the cheap to mid and high-end sector of VR, and of course the love and passion for aviation. It is a wonderful thing, and in 2025 flight simulation could not be in a better state. What do you think? Anyway, a bit more through the lens here. Let's talk about some of the good points and bad points of this headset that I've found in the past year. Let's start with the good stuff. I friggin' love the lenses in the XR4, together with the field of view, which is like a really wide oval type of shape. It gives a fantastic feeling of presence. There's also something quite remarkable about that mini LED display, and that's the local dimming, which just seems to be a cut above anything else I've seen other than OLED. As you can see here from this through the lens footage, there's minimal blooming, and the blooming is actually got even better with the latest update. They've just done a stellar job at giving that illusion of OLED with a very bright LCD type of display. And of course with the spheric lens as well, you don't lose a lot of that light, and the sweet spot overall is also very, very good. I will say though that there is some warping on the edges if you really move that eye relief slider all the way in, and that's something that is definitely noticeable just on the far outer edges of the display. And by the way, as you can see here, I am showing some different aircraft off as well. That was the Turbine Duke. We're now in the Learjet in a more daylight scene. And in all cases here, just the brightness, the sharpness, the lenses and field of view are absolutely fantastic. However, there is that issue of binocular overlap, which absolutely does not affect me at all. But for some people, that's less of an overlap tends to cause eye strain for some out there. For me, it's never been a problem, and I've used this thing for 4 hours solid. Sticking with things I love about the headset is the UI system and that very clever sort of touchpad that can utilize the menu system. And again, this has been updated and it's a lot more slick now. You'll see here that I can use the pass-through to look down at my Silla 60 force feedback yoke and all my other controls like the Bravo, and it is very high resolution now, looking very nice. Unfortunately, some of the options now are through a paywall system that Varjo has decided to sort of implement with the latest Varjo base. But I think for most of us out there using it for flight simulation purposes, you're not really going to miss those extra features. I personally don't anyway, but you know, it is a shame that some of those features are now an extra cost in the Varjo base. But you can see here, it's a very slick and fantastic UI system. For example, during this flight, I actually was watching the Royal International Air Tattoo Arrivals Day at planestv.com as I was flying the Starship. But it's not all perfect, no headset is. I think the major thing for me is those tiger stripes on a white background, and this is an example from a fellow Varjo XR-4 user. It is quite jarring at times, and in fact my display does have some tiger stripes on the far right of the lens. 90% of the time it's not there, but I must admit it's something that is a great shame and spoils a fantastic display. I think also, if I was really picky, sometimes the headset doesn't always start up first time. It's almost like a separate computer system, and it can be sometimes 50-50 if the thing is going to power on. But obviously that is probably due to the extreme sensor systems that are in this headset. It is a very complicated piece of equipment. Another negative that I used to moan about is the inside out tracking. It used to lose itself all the time, but I must admit, since the new update, it's been solid even in a motion rig with lower light conditions. So that is great to see that it's constantly improving all the time. And of course, I do rave about this a lot, but the motion reprojection of Varjo is some of the best out there as well. And now that I have upgraded to a 5090, it really feels like I can unlock the Varjo XR-4 finally. But is it for you? Well, probably not, guys. There are plenty of better value options out there, including the Crystal Super or the Quest 3 on the other end of the scale. But this video is intended to showcase what the Varjo XR-4 can do in 2025, given the new 5090 graphics card, the new updates, and what it's like really living with a $6,000 plus headset for over a year. It is a remarkable achievement by Varjo, and you know what, if it's good enough for the Finnish Air Force to train their F-18 pilots, then it's plenty good enough for me, a flight sim nerd who's looking for the highest possible immersion. And by the way, this is the Finnish Air Force F-18 at the Royal International Air Tattoo just the other day. Fantastic. Now, if you've got this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. This channel is all about the different aspects of aviation and VR and where the future is heading, as well as the best value VR headsets, VR settings guides, the whole lot. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please feel free, as it really helps the channel grow. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.